From those first wobbly steps all the way to riding a bike, a child's physical journey is just incredible to watch. But, how do you know if they're on track? In this explainer, we're going to give you a really simple, clear roadmap to understand all the key milestones in their gross motor development. I bet this question sounds familiar, right? If you're a parent or a caregiver, the second they take those first steps, your mind just jumps ahead, thinking, okay, what's next? It's a journey that's just packed with so many amazing little moments.
So, instead of throwing a bunch of confusing charts at you, we're going to follow one simple roadmap. It breaks down all of physical development into just 7 core skills. It makes it so much easier to see the path ahead. So, let's dive in.
All right, so here's the plan. First, we'll lay out our roadmap. Then, we'll get into how walking turns into running, how balance leads to jumping, and how they eventually take on challenges like stairs, bikes, and even catching a ball. And then at the end, we'll put it all together to see the whole picture of their journey.
First up, the gross motor roadmap. Before we get into all the nitty-gritty details, let's just establish the 7 core skills that really form the foundation for everything else.
And here they are. The 7 core skills are walking, standing and balance, running, jumping, ball skills, stairs, and the big one, bike riding. Pretty much every major physical milestone you can think of fits into one of these categories. They're basically the building blocks for a kid's confidence and coordination. Okay, section 2, from walking to running. We're starting right where most kids do, with those first few steps that eventually lead to that full-blown gotta catch me running. So check this out. We all celebrate walking forward, right? It's that huge milestone around age 1. But look what happens at age 2. They start walking backwards. Now, it might seem like just a funny little party trick, but it actually shows a huge leap in their brain development and motor control. And then, of course, comes the running. That early run around age 2, it's often kind of stiff-legged, almost robotic, But then, by age 3, something just clicks. The whole motion transforms and it becomes so much smoother and more fluid as their arms and legs finally figure out how to work together in perfect sync. Now for section 3. Mastering balance and jumping. So they're on the move, but now the challenge gets a little more complex. It's not just about going forward anymore. It's about gaining real coordination and control. Tiptoes are a perfect example of how these skills build on each other. I mean, it seems simple, but just watch the evolution. At age 2, they can just about stand on them. A year later, they can walk on them. And then by 4, they can actually integrate that tricky balance into a dynamic movement like running. It's a perfect visual of how their body control just levels up year after year. And this illustrates that same idea so well. Standing on one foot, that is a true test of balance. At age 3, holding it for just 1 second is a huge achievement, but that stretches to 5 seconds at age 4, and then an impressive 10 seconds by age 5. You can literally count the progress. Okay, quick time out. Let's clarify some words that get mixed up all the time. A jump is a 2-footed movement. You push off and land with both feet together. A hop is when you take off and land on the same single foot. And skipping? Well, that's that joyful, pretty complex movement of alternating hops from one foot to the other. So with that in mind, just look at how these skills build on each other. It all starts around age 2 with a simple 2-footed jump, just in place. By 3, they can add forward motion and even start hopping on one foot. A year later, they're hopping forward. And by 5, a lot of kids can put it all together into that wonderful, complex rhythm of skipping. All right, section 4, navigating stairs and bikes. This is where we get to see how all that balance and coordination practice gets applied to real-world obstacles, everything from new heights to new wheels. Have you ever really watched how a young kid climbs stairs? They tend to use one of 2 styles. First is what we'll call the child manner, where they place both feet on a single step before moving up to the next one. And then they graduate to the adult manner, alternating their feet on each step, just like we do. Okay, now here's the really fascinating part. At age 2, they use that cautious child manner for both going up and down. By age 3, they can go up like an adult, but still need the security of the 2 feet per step method to go down. And then usually by 4, they've mastered the adult manner in both directions. It just goes to show you, going up is way easier than coming down. And then we have the absolute classic childhood challenge, bikes. Around age 3, the 3-wheeled tricycle is perfect. It provides all that stability they need. But making the jump to a 2-wheeled bicycle, That's a huge leap. It requires a level of dynamic balance and coordination that usually doesn't fully click into place until around age 7. And now for our final core skill, the art of the ball. This is all about hand-eye coordination. And believe it or not, throwing and catching a ball is honestly one of the most complex physical tasks a young child has to master.
So throwing usually starts around age 2, and it's often more of a two-handed push with outstretched arms. By age 3, it gets a little more directed, thrown from in front of their face. But that powerful, coordinated overhead throw that we all recognize, that usually develops around age 5.
And catching follows a pretty similar learning curve. That first attempt, around age 3, is often just trapping the ball against their body with stiff, straight arms. By 4, they're starting to reach up for it. And by 5, we start to see the beginning of what we call a mature catch. Their eyes are actually tracking the ball, and their hands move to meet it smoothly. Wow, okay, so we have covered a lot of ground. Let's pull everything we've talked about together into one simple chart that kind of summarizes this whole incredible journey. And here it is, all in one place. You can really see the whole story unfold. At age 2, it's about those fundamentals, like walking backward. By 3, they're on a tricycle. At 4, they're managing stairs like a grown-up. Age 5 is this huge year for coordination, with skipping and not mature catch. And it all kind of culminates around age 7, with that big one, riding a bicycle. It's a really incredible progression when you see it laid out like this.
And you know, this is probably the most important takeaway of all. This roadmap shows common patterns, but it is not a set of strict deadlines. Every single child is on their own unique journey, and celebrating their individual progress, wherever they are, is what really matters most. So now that you have the roadmap, you can really appreciate the journey. Think about what's next for the child in your life. What little victory, what new skill are you most excited to witness and cheer for? Thanks so much for joining us for this explanator.